Good Schools for All is made possible in part by UC San Diego Extension. UC San Diego Extension has partnered with the San Diego Public Library System to bring middle and high school students a series of free, in-depth, and hands-on learning courses in topics like robotics, circuits, messy science, 3D modeling, and college planning. The Library Next program started as a pilot project in 6 San Diego libraries in early 2017 and is quickly expanding to more library branches throughout the city. This STEAM-centered program is sponsored by UC San Diego Extension's pre-college programs and the San Diego Public Library. Visit www.sandiego.gov/librarynext for details. Good Schools for All is also made possible in part by Thrive Public Schools. Thrive Public Schools are charter public schools serving students in elementary, middle, and high school throughout San Diego. Thrive was named one of the top 75 schools in the nation and is celebrated by the state legislature and local officials for innovation and excellence in education. Thrive engages students through cutting-edge technology, hands-on projects, and small group teaching. Thrive students are college-prepared, career-inspired, and community-minded. Visit thriveps.org to schedule a tour and get engaged.
My mom says my neighborhood school isn't good enough.
How am I supposed to know my kids are getting the best education possible?
Welcome to Good Schools for All, a podcast from the investigative news organization Voice of San Diego.
We cut through the jargon and polarized debate to get you the news and ideas that matter. Good schools are at the heart of our democracy and economy, and we're about good schools for all kids.
We hope you'll learn and maybe teach us something. Enjoy the show.
There should be an excellent school in every community.
From Voice of San Diego, I'm Scott Lewis.
And from the San Diego Workforce Partnership, I'm Laura Kohn.
Hey, Laura.
Hello, Scott.
How are you?
Doing extremely well.
Yes. Glad to have you back in the studio. We've this is our first podcast in a while, but we've been still working. We've been working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Behind the scenes, things are happening.
Yeah. So before I get into that, though, I got to do story time, right?
Of course. Let's hear it.
So my daughter, the other night, she says, putting her to sleep, and she says, Dad, I love you 150, and I love Mom 199. It's like, wait.
Oh, you came in second, Scott.
I said, wait, you love her more than me? And she said, well, I still love you, though. And it's like that. It's a little conciliatory, but I tweeted that, and John Lee Evans, the school board member for the city for San Diego Unified, he said, well, she seems to show a good understanding of big numbers and proportionality. I was like, yes, there is the silver lining there. Yes.
Yeah, she loves you 33% or 25% less than she loves her mom.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks. Good job. Yes, so she missed the TK window, though.
I'm sorry.
My wife is fired up about TK, Transitional Kindergarten. So she was born December 28th, and that's about 3 or 4 weeks outside of the window.
26 days too late.
Yeah, so kids that are born between September and December 2nd, right?
September 2nd and December 2nd, yeah.
They can go to Transitional Kindergarten in California,
Mm-hmm.
which is if they're only 4 but they turn 5 within that window. She turns 5, a couple weeks later, and so she doesn't get this whole year of government school. That would be great.
It would be. It's actually shown in research to be highly beneficial for kids, especially low-income kids and English learners. So it's really not fair.
So her this touches a nerve at Voice San Diego because there's 2 other parents here, same situation. Kinsey Moreland, she wrote a piece about it. She was pretty fired up. I had to dial it back.
Oh, did you? You left plenty of fire in there.
And she's, she wishes she could get her kid into it too. But
hey, I heard a parent of a TK student told me something really funny about transitional kindergarten I hadn't thought of. Actually, it was Nicole Assisi from Thrive.
Yeah.
And she has a TK son. And so all of the birthday parties are happening in the fall, and then there are no birthday parties for the rest of the year.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wow. So is he at Thrive? Or?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm not 100% sure.
That'd be interesting. All right. The real reason we want to talk, because we have been working, and one of the things Kinsey used is something we've been building for the last several months, because she is, for next year, trying to figure out where to send her child to school. And I know that a lot of people are trying to figure out where to send their child to school. And one of the things that we heard about more than anything last year when we were doing the podcast was when we were doing some of these stories about how to make a good choice for what school to send your child to. We got tons of people asking for more specific information.
Right.
People that wanted us to help them with their choices.
Yes. We were elevating these great models of public schools, and parents wanted to know, well, how do I figure out if that's the right school for my kid? And if I think it is, how do I get them into a school like that?
Yeah.
And we didn't have really good answers for them.
No, we didn't. So we worked on that.
Yeah.
And we got it set. So Voice of San Diego, Workforce Partnership, and San Diego, or the University of California, San Diego Extension, they crunched the numbers for us, and you helped us get it all together and figure out what we should do. And Voice of San Diego, along with Ashley Lewis here and our whole staff, we pulled together this school's guide. Basically, right now, it's a map. So this is a whole project we're doing. This is our first sort of iteration of it.
Right.
But the thrust of it is a very cool map that you can get at voiceofsandiego.org/school-guide. If you just Google San Diego School Guide, it comes up. Go to that, and then it takes you can go to this map. The map is a little bit more complicated URL, but basically it's awesome. You can filter out schools. So once it comes up, you can click on, say, IB schools with the International Baccalaureate program, and it'll take away all other schools off of the map and just show you the ones that have IB.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has, if you click on the school, it'll show you what district's it in. Is it a charter school? What grades does it cover? How many kids go to it? And how it's doing on English language arts as far as like its status, as far as tests go for the Smarter Balance tests in California. And then if it's improving, staying the same, or getting worse as far as those scores go. That's just for elementary schools and middle schools, by the way. For high schools, we don't have that specific data. It shows you how many English language learners, what percent of the student body they are. It shows you what percent the free and reduced price meals kids are, which is a common indicator of poverty for the school. And it shows you, if it's a high school, how many of the kids got greater than or equal to 1,500 on the SAT, and how many, what percent of the students took the AP test.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some, we also wanted to include some special distinctions. And how did we choose those? What made you think of those?
These are things that any parent who's looking around at school options would be interested in knowing. And so these are special approaches to education that some schools have, and where we could get a definitive authoritative list of such schools, we include that information. So you mentioned International Baccalaureate, which is a really well-regarded, I actually love it a lot. My kids went to an International Baccalaureate elementary school, Ocean Knoll Elementary up in Encinitas. It's a curriculum that comes out of Switzerland, and it's available at elementary, middle, and high school level. It's most well known for high school, but it's a great curriculum all the way through. And so we know which schools in the area are certified by the Swiss organization to be delivering high quality International Baccalaureate. So those are, you can find out where those are.
Mm-hmm. And you can also, one of the things we realized was a bubbling interest area was this dual language. These schools that specialize in dual language, like Sherman Heights Elementary, has really gone from a school that didn't have the best reputation to now being a very attractive school because it is focused on a dual language program. And so you can check the box on our map of dual language programs that also offer IB, and you'll get a list, or you can take the IB off and it'll show you all the dual language programs. So for example, one of those that comes up is the Ehe Middle Academy. You've talked about that a lot. Tell me about that school.
They're a terrific charter school, grassroots at the origins, but they're just growing and doing really top-of-the-line dual language work. Dual language, just to be clear, it means that children who attend or students who attend dual language schools are learning 2 languages. They're learning both English and another language. So most of them are intended both for native English speakers, but also potentially for English language learners. And they're highly successful. And the cool thing is you come out knowing everything you should know about academics plus another language. Yeah.
So if you check on our map, if you click on the dual language programs, and all of the dual language schools come up, and if you look at Ehe, you can see that it's in Kohn Valley Union. It's a charter school. It's for grades 6 to 8. It has an enrollment of 195. Its English and language arts score is high and getting better. And its math is medium and getting better, increasing significantly, in fact. It has 24% English language learners. 85% are free and reduced priced meals, which means they're not getting the most privileged kids.
No.
And they have the dual language, and there has another definition here. They have a distinction of education equity. What's that? Tell us about that.
There's an organization that looked at data for schools across the nation and identified schools that are getting the best results for low-income kids and also English language learners as well. And so the achievement gap that we've talked about on other podcasts is at its lowest at these schools that are identified with the education equity flag.
Yeah, so this Ehe Middle Academy is got the dual language distinction and the education equity, which means it's getting an above average rating because their students for low-income families perform significantly better on average than low-income students across the country. So this is the kind of thing you can learn just with one click on this map. I love this map.
It's pretty fun. We've put together a lot of different data sets that are out there available to parents and the general public, but don't show up in the same place. So it should be a great tool for parents. And I just want to say a couple other framers, which is we have this data for the whole county. So you can find any school in the county here, and it's for all public schools, charter and non-charter, or regular public schools and charter public schools.
Yeah, so we've been working on this Parents Guide project for months now. But we decided to get this map together this week or as soon as possible. We would like to get it out, I think, last week. But to get it together as soon as possible because this is the week, October 2nd, in fact, was the day that openings for the application window, the San Diego Unified School District started allowing applications. If you're in the district and you want to not necessarily go to your neighborhood school, you have until November 13th to apply to another school within the district. Now this, to be clear, is not about charter schools. If you want to apply to a charter school, then you need to check with that charter school about its application deadline, which is separate. But if you want to go to another school within the district, whether it's a magnet school like the School for Creative and Performing Arts in southeastern San Diego, or whether it's just a school in a neighborhood that you work in or whatever, then you can apply for that. You can apply for 3 schools, and the school district will check the openings in those schools and then go down your list. And if you don't get any of them, or if you do get something, you will be alerted in the springtime. So they use a variety of criteria for this. There's a lot of just basic ones. Do you have a sibling already there? So if you are applying at Bird Rock Elementary and the brother of the student you're applying for is already going to school there, that's a good sign that you'll have a chance at one of those openings. Mm-hmm. If you're a teacher at Bird Rock Elementary and you want your child to go to that school, you have a good chance of getting one of those spots, or a better chance than some of these other things. So that's the kind of criteria they use to go through down that list. Again, charter schools are separate. So a lot of people apply for some of these attractive neighborhood or magnet schools, but then also have a whole portfolio of applications for these other charter schools within the area too.
Right.
So that's that. So now the other school districts, their windows are almost all in January or February to March or April.
That's right.
So do we have any idea why San Diego Unified does that differently? It's just they just have a window. They've made the window a little smaller. We know that. So it's a tight deadline, November 13th.
It's short and it's early.
Yeah. So get on it. Now, one of the things, I was on KPBS and they asked me, they were like, well, we sure have heard about this more this year than in past years. And I said, yeah, I think that's on purpose, because they truly do believe that one of the problems that they're having at San Diego Unified is with enrollment, and that enrollment's going down, and they're losing students to charter schools and maybe to other schools because of marketing, and that they need to market the distinctions of some of their in-district managed schools more, and that's what you're seeing right now. Right.
So if they promote their in-district choices, they may retain some students who would otherwise go to charter schools. So this is pure speculations, but that could be why they're being more public about this open choice window.
Right. So go to voiceofsandiego.org/school-guide, voiceofsandiego.org/school-guide, or you can just search School Guide San Diego in Google, and we'll be up there. I'm very proud we got that settled. And it's a good resource. I swear I've already clicked on it, for an hour, just looking at things, comparing different schools, finding some that were doing really well that you might not have thought of, and others that aren't, but also some that have distinctions I never knew that they had. I didn't know Mission Bay High School had the IB program, that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's just good. I'm really proud of this.
It's pretty great. And we're going to keep working on making it better and better. And we're going to release a paper version in the wintertime in January. The reason we're waiting on that is that the state is going to update the data in a couple of months, and we want to include the very latest data in that, but it'll still be in time for parents making choices in other school districts in the region. Yeah,
this is a magazine-style thing that we want to do, somewhat like a Consumer Reports, where we'll have a lot of features of explanations and writing about how things work. About some, you've got a great essay about how to evaluate high schools, especially if you're concerned about future careers, right?
Yep.
And a few things like that we'll be able to include, and a feature on some of the schools trying some innovative things outside of the data. And, one of those, for example, is Vista High School. We've done some work on. They got a $10 million grant. This is a traditional district managed school. They got a $10 million grant to incorporate personalized learning.
They are. They were the only traditional high school that won that award. All the other high schools who got that grant from the Lorena Jobs Foundation were startups or charters. So it's pretty cool right here in our region to have Vista High trying to do that kind of major innovative stuff from a traditional high school.
Yeah, so we did some work at voicesandiego.org about Vista's effort on that front. You can go to Vista and look at. You can even use our little search feature and pull up Vista High. You found Vista High on the map?
Yeah.
And what's its distinctions there?
It is an international baccalaureate school, and it also has AVID. AVID is a program that helps students to learn study skills and learning habits so that they and to help them be on track to go to college. So we wanted to highlight the schools that host the AVID program, and we did a great podcast with the AVID CEO. It's a national program that is headquartered right here in San Diego.
Right. So poke around on this map. We've tried to include a lot. We're considering all kinds of things. This is just the first iteration, like I've said, of this effort to provide parents a real backbone of support, local support, to help them understand the options they have locally. And, I'd like to consider all kinds of things we could add to it, whether it's principals, with a little statement of why their school is distinct, we could somehow include.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could get some parent ratings or feedback. Maybe we could, do all kinds of other things to make this more robust and useful. So if you have any feedback or if you find any errors for any of these schools, we've already fixed a couple of things. You can send that to scott@voiceofsandiego.org. That's scott@voiceofsandiego.org. Otherwise, let us know as well. You can send a note just about how your choice process is going and what you're looking for in a school or what you found in the effort. We'd love to hear your experience on that. So,
yeah, please give us feedback. Any other distinctions you'd like us to add? We want to hear about those as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to ask you about this. You were in Washington, D.C., and you sat down with Betsy DeVos.
Yeah, it was, I was with the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce visit to Washington, D.C., and they set up an opportunity for 12 or 15 of us to sit down with Secretary DeVos. And Scott, I thought a lot ahead of time about whether I would let her know some of the things that she has been proposing that have me on edge, and I decided not to do that.
What has you on edge first?
Well, the idea that private schools should be funded with public dollars is something I deeply, deeply oppose, and she's a big supporter of that idea. She actually recently said, since we were out there, she made a speech at Harvard saying she didn't think the federal government should play any role in promoting that she believes in it, but she thinks that states should be in the lead on that policy. So that means that for us here in California, since that's not going to happen in our state legislature, it's not going to impact our kids or our public school system, but it is going to in other places.
Yeah, the framing around school choice in California is just really different than that right now. I mean, it's like what we're talking about with the traditional school choice and the charter school choice, but the voucher discussion seems pretty isolated.
I think so too. Yeah, I don't hear about it.
So you didn't let her have it?
I didn't let her have it. No. And she did say that she supports the Higher Education Act is up for reauthorization, and she is promoting a start from scratch approach to that bill. And interestingly, later in the visit, we heard from Representative Susan Davis from our area, who is now the ranking member on the subcommittee for higher education, that she also favors a rebuild of that bill. So maybe there's room for some bipartisan work in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you run into General Mattis or anybody?
No. No, there was an opportunity to tour the White House, and I turned it down. I knew I couldn't stomach it.
All right. So check out voiceofsandiego.org/school-guide and let us know again how you feel about it, any ideas, anything you think we should be doing for the next iteration. And we'll get on it because we're going. We're going to do a Spanish language version of the printed article.
Yes,
we got some support for that. So
the public libraries are going to help distribute it, and nonprofit organizations are getting on board also to help get this out and support parents in their choice making. To me, this is the demand side of public education, and we're helping to support that side of the equation.
Right. Thank you for coming back. Talking.
Happy
it's nice
to be
to
here.
have you.
Let's do more.
All right. On behalf of Voice of San Diego, this has been Good Schools for All.